And we're back on the Friends of Kevin radio show. I'm now joined by my friend Marianne Das from the Evergreen Montessori House. Welcome to the Friends of Kevin radio show.
Hi, thank you for having me.
I'm really excited to have you on the show because I've never heard of this concept. And we were talking a little bit before the show. And now you got me kind of fascinated by it a little bit. So why don't we start at the beginning? Tell me a little bit about yourself and your program.
Okay, sure. So it's actually a really cute story. My parents were unhappy with the education I was getting in preschools and kindergartens in the area, so they just decided to start a school for me. My mom is a certified Montessori preschool teacher, and she also worked in the public schools, applying her skills as a Montessori professional into a regular classroom. So she had no problem transitioning to a school. I was one of the first students, and now I'm a program coordinator and a teacher there. And our program is really steeped in the Montessori method of education, and we really follow through with the philosophy with it.
So why don't we talk a little bit about the Montessori method, because I'm not familiar with it. What is it?
All right. Well, first off, it is a method and not a philosophy. And before I really go into the method, it's really important to get into the history of it because then it puts the whole method in context.
Okay.
It was founded by Maria Montessori, who was a surgeon in Italy while Mussolini was in power. And because she was a woman, he didn't let her practice in a hospital. He made her teach special needs children.
Wow.
And so because she was a doctor, she used the scientific method to create methods to teach the special needs children. And what she found, and she figured out what worked for them, and then she applied these methods to quote unquote normal children or children without special needs. So basically the Montessori method is to make learning fun and to use different Montessori tools that stress the exercises of practical life to make children enjoy education and think that they're really playing, but they're actually learning.
Well, that would seem to be a good thing. Mm-hmm. So what does the exercise of practical life mean?
That's actually a really common question. What it basically is that it allows the children to practice the daily rituals of life. So that means children learn how to pour water, how to hold a cup, how to drink from the cup properly without spilling it all over themselves, how to button a shirt, tie a lace, buckle a belt. And actually, this is a really funny example from one of the students we have now. He's a 2-year-old, and we taught him how to pour water, and he spilled it everywhere. So we taught him how to mop it up properly with a paper towel, which is basically first you push the water away from yourself, and then you mop it up towards yourself. So then he'd go home and purposely start spilling water and juice everywhere, and he was so proud of himself that he could mop it up properly without leaving a mess. And his mother came in and was like, "What is wrong with my son doing this now?" But he learned confidence in himself, and he learned independence through it.
But now your program, what age group does it cater to?
Ages 2 years, 9 months until 6 years of age. So that's preschool and kindergarten.
I never really gave much concept to the things that you're teaching, but how it's so important, though, teaching them independence, teaching them everyday things that, I think back to, I have 28 nieces and nephews, so I got them from like 0 to like a bazillion years old. But it's interesting, like you said, because you're like, oh, don't let them touch that, Well, why not train them how to pour a cup of water,
it's so important.
So that they know how to do it. You're not like, no, don't touch. You're going to spill that all over the place. Well, no, if I trust you and I teach you how to do it, then I can hand you the juice and I'll go, oh my God, he's going to dump it all over my cup, but I just know it.
Yeah, and that'll make them want to drink the juice more, or if you teach them how to cut vegetables, they'll eat their fruits and vegetables now.
Right. I mean, it's very obvious when you started talking to me about it. I'm like, that just really works, actually.
Yeah,
so
it really does.
It's kind of neat. So let's talk a little bit more about the sensorial activity. What does that mean?
Okay, sure. Well, sensorial is basically the senses. So you pour water, you're touching the water, you're getting the feel of water, and a lot of kids don't like getting their fingers wet, so it teaches them.
It's very funny when you see that.
Yeah, it really is. So it teaches them it's okay to get your fingers wet. It's okay to make a little bit of a mess. And so basically in the classroom, you engage all the senses. So, for example, with our younger kids, they're just learning their alphabet. So around the classroom, they'll see the alphabet everywhere. And then we have a tool called the sandpaper letter, which is basically a piece of cardboard with very, very finely cut out letters on it. And they practice tracing the letters with their finger. And then learning how to trace the letters with their fingers, they can learn how to write it on a piece of paper when they're ready to write it on a piece of paper. And this grows with them because when they're ready to start reading, they can take these letters, they can form words on their own and experiment and have fun with it. And we also have other tools that incorporate sound. So they'll shake a little box and they'll learn loud versus soft. And then when they're old enough, they'll learn how to gradiate between it. And also, we don't do this, but Montessori also teaches them to differentiate between taste and things like that.
That's genius.
Yeah, it really is. It seems common sense, but
yeah,
we really don't.
But that's why it's genius, because it is common sense, but no one takes the time to do that.
Exactly.
So it is kind of neat. So can we talk a little bit more about some of the other tools that you use then?
Sure. So one thing about all of the Montessori tools is that they're geometric in nature. So that means they all are with shapes, and they require children to touch it and to manipulate it. So the tools, the great thing about the Montessori tools is that they're easy for kids to use and that it grows with them. So one tool that children love, I'll just start with the youngest and work the way up. So one tool is called the pink tower, and children love it because it's bright pink blocks that they can stack in towers. So when they're younger, they learn how to hold it, how to create a block, which is very hard, how to create a tower, which is very hard for a 2-year-old. And it's self-correcting because they can look at a tower and wait and be like, wait, why does it look all weird? And then they'll figure out, oh, wait, the largest block goes on the bottom and the smallest block goes on top. And when they're a little older, we teach them that, hey, it's not a block, it's a cube. A cube is a shape, which is made up of corners that are called angles. And the different sides of the cubes are called squares. And they're like, oh, yeah, that makes perfect sense. And then another thing with this tool is when they reach the 6-year-old level is the largest block is 10 by 10 centimeters. And the smallest block is 1 by 1 centimeter. So they learn their numbers that way. They're like, wait, these are the units in our number system. And the 10 is the tens. And 10 tens make 100.
It is, like you said, because as you started off the segment with, you're letting them have fun while they're learning. So it's so they don't realize just how much they're learning, but like I said, just the difference. And it's really funny to watch a child with a game like that,
like
the Ring game, where they put them all on, and then they flip them off, and how quickly they can go the largest to smallest on top, and how quickly they learn that. I'm always fascinated by watching babies play with those things.
Definitely.
It's like, okay, after the second try, they were able to determine how all those rings go on. It's definitely interesting, like you said. And now you have a multi-age classroom too, right?
Yes, we do. In Montessori, it's always a multi-age classroom. In the preschool level, it's for ages 2 years, 9 months until the age of 6. And Maria Montessori in her special needs classroom, and then in the non-special needs classroom, she found that the younger kids emulate the older kids. So they learn leadership skills, they learn how to behave properly in a classroom, which is so hard for kids to learn who have never been in school before. And the older kids benefit from this because they learn how to be leaders, how to be proud of themselves. And this fosters a sense of community where the older kids will help the younger kids and teach them. And then the younger kids learn how a certain tool will be used when they get older.
I really like that a lot, too, because exactly what you just said, you have both groups feeling good. The older kids feel good because they just taught the younger kids. The younger kids are already looking up to the older kids anyway, so they're more receptive to what they have to say. That's just a winning idea.
Yeah, it really is.
Again, simple, but, effective and stuff. So I really like that. Now, is there a set time for the group to work together?
Yep. A lot of people look at a Montessori classroom and just see kids all over the place doing lots of mini projects. And there actually is a set time for the whole group to come together during the day. The way it works is they come in, they choose the mini project that they want, and then once they've completed the project, they come to the center of the classroom, and as they finish their projects, they come together, and then we do a whole group activity with the entire class.
So why is it so important for preschool children to be on time then?
Well, like you said, it's very important for the flow of the classroom because there is their mini projects and their big classroom project. And also it's important because it teaches them punctuality. If you don't teach it from an early age, how are they going to be punctual when they're older?
It is, even as a business owner, that's probably one of the biggest criticisms I have of people. If you tell me that we're meeting at 10 o'clock, we're really meeting at 10 o'clock.
Exactly.
That means I expect you to be sitting in the chair talking to me, not arriving at Panera, not going to get coffee and a bagel. And like I said, a lot of people just don't get that concept.
No, not at all.
And it's important to teach it when you're younger, especially, like I said, if you're going to school. Well, if you're going to show up 15 minutes late for school every day, it's going to have a negative impact on you.
Oh, definitely.
So let's talk a little bit about your enrichment program then.
Sure. So when we started the school, it was just pure Montessori. And then we found that having an enrichment program really adds to it. So our enrichment program has a lot of arts and crafts in it, and also just general arts, such as a music program. We teach all of our students how to play piano because it helps their finger manipulation, and that'll help them write better when they're old enough. And also, I have a master's in public health. So I developed a health education program, and I'm very passionate about science. I worked in scientific research labs before, and I really am passionate about getting kids interested in the scientific process. So we do a lot of projects with experimentation and getting kids interested and getting involved with their environment.
I really like that because, like you said, it's such a well-rounded education, especially when you have children 3 years old learning how to play the piano.
Yep.
I'm like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's because we're so passionate about it. It's a family business, so we really believe in it, and we really love what we do.
And then, like you said, your background is in health then.
Yep. I worked in research labs in the area, from plastics engineering to infectious disease. Then I went down to Miami planning on becoming a doctor and decided, you know what? I don't really want to do this anymore. I like being with kids. I like working with people. So I got a master's in public health instead.
But that's neat and stuff because, like you said, those are the people we need teaching our children.
Oh, definitely.
There's the people who want to be there who, like you said, looked at other options and said, but this is where my passion is.
Yep, definitely.
So that's kind of neat and stuff. And now, obviously, you have some arts and crafts going on, too, you said.
Yeah, we do a lot of arts and crafts projects, obviously with the holidays, like with all the other schools, and also to help solidify the learning. So if we're learning about, say, for example, plants, we'll do a lot of flowers, and then while we're doing the arts and crafts project, we'll tell them this is a stem, this is a leaf, this is the petals. So while they're working on a fun project, they're learning the different parts of the plant. And this also goes to outside the classroom. When we go out, if we're learning about, say, birds, we'll show them these are different kinds of birds, this is the sounds they make, why they make these sounds, this is what a nest looks like. So it's a really fun
So the kids just ever go outside and just play?
Yeah, they do. We do have a playtime when both the morning and the afternoon session, and kids are able to just run wild and do whatever they want.
Yeah. Now, how long does a typical day last there?
We have a morning session from 9 a.m. to noon, an afternoon session from 12 to 3, and we also have unlimited before-school care and after-school care. So right now we're at school from 7 a.m. until 5 p.m.
Yep. Like I said, which is a great option for parents who, like I said, need to have the kids in an educational environment all day. Yeah,
we're very flexible, so we are willing to meet any parent's needs when they come to us.
That's kind of neat and stuff. So it seems like a really fun environment because there's all sorts of things going on all the time. Because I know myself, I struggle with paying attention most days, and I'm a little older than 3, but some days at least. But so I like how it's so varied, though. That must be fun too. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. And then a lot of people think that Montessori is either overstructured or understructured. Just looking at a classroom, it looks like chaos, like kids everywhere. What are they doing? But it's really flexible. It's up to the kids to choose what they want, and we just direct them. So it's a lot of fun directing them and watching them take ownership of what they choose. But I like that structure, rather than like, okay, it's 9 o'clock, it's reading time. Yep. And you're like, but I'd rather read later. I like doing math first or whatever it may be. But in your program, like you said, they have individuals and then you bring them all together. Yep. So you're teaching individuality, but at the same point in time, how to be a good member of a group. Exactly. I'm like, that's kind of a neat thing. So how long have you been teaching now? I have been teaching since I graduated high school there. You can become teacher certified. And then I've been teaching full-time for the past year and a half since I graduated from my master's program. But it's neat that your mom and dad started this just for you. Oh, I know. I'm the luckiest person ever. Well, what was that like, having your mom teach you? Now, how long were you part of the program with your mom? Just through preschool?
Yep, just kindergarten, actually, because I did preschool somewhere else, and I didn't love school as much as she did, so she had to get me to love school. So it was actually pretty interesting because my mom didn't want me to get special treatment. So at home, she was my mom, but in school, she was my teacher. And she made sure there was a boundary there and that I was learning in school and then having fun at home.
Yeah, I'm always amazed by people who can educate their own children. Because I couldn't even imagine that. Like you said, because of the boundaries.
Yeah.
You know, we're like, Mom, come on. You know, I don't want to do that. But she's not your mom when you're in school.
Yeah, it was really smart of her to implement that rule and make sure that I knew exactly what school meant, what home meant. And, you know, I had a great time there. And it was, I'm not just saying it because I worked there and it's my family's business, but it was the best school I went to. It's
kind of neat. So how do people find out more about it and how can they enroll?
Yep, they can visit our website, which is evergreenmontessorihouse.org. They can always call us at 978-458-5885 or just drop in and visit us. We're at 1807 Bridge Street in Dracut.
What's your favorite part of the school?
I really love the arts and crafts and figuring out how to... I come up with them and trying to figure out the different activities and then seeing what works and what doesn't work. So.
But it's nice because, you know, like you said, you're encouraging the children's artistic ability. I really like that. Now, it must be fun to watch them play the piano, though. I'm so fascinated by that. Oh, it really is.
Yeah, the 2-year-old is playing old, like hitting all the wrong keys and singing along, and it's perfectly fine because he's sitting still and has perfect posture.
Right. You know, I can remember being in elementary school and they would teach you the basics of how to play the piano. And it was funny, like you said, you mentioned the hands, where people, just myself being one of them, never had the proper posture on the piano. But there were some people, you look at them, you know, never played and go, wow, look like you played the piano. You have the proper keystrokes and, you know, and have the hand positions for it. So it is kind of neat to watch and stuff. So
it definitely is.
And you do have openings at the school?
Yes, we currently do.
Yep. And so it's from ages
2 years, 9 months until 6 years.
Yep. Why 2 years, 9 months?
Because
there's got to be a significance.
Well, the state found. Well, first off, it's a state regulation, and secondly, during a child's development, 2 years, 9 months is when they start to be developing the same skills that a 3-year-old would have. So it made sense to just group them in the preschool age group. Before that, they're not quite developmentally there.
Great. Describe your contact information one more time before I let you go.
Okay, sure. We have all of our contact information on our website, evergreenmontessorihouse.org. You can call us at 978-458-5885 or just drop in for a visit at 1807 Bridge Street in Dracut.
Appreciate you taking the time out there to come on the show.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. You listen to Friends of Kevin Radio Show right here on WSMN 1590 in Nashville. We'll be back right after this break.